Well,
Yeah.
welcome
Hi,
everybody.
Ryan. Nice to see you again. Jackie and Cindy.
Hey,
Yes.
Carmel.
We
Carmel's
have
on.
Lavana. My dad is on, so say some nice things about me to my dad. He's listening.
We love
I'll call him
Tina.
later. I'll give him the download.
Send us a private message.
Yeah. I'll pay you guys later if you say nice things. Okay.
Well, welcome
Awesome.
everybody to our final recap call of Leading Through Crisis. And we just thank you for joining us, and we're going to go through and kind of recap the last few weeks. And we're going to start with Nuala and Rosemary, who talked about real leadership in crisis last week.
So, hey guys, I'm going to, we've had, I thought it was great. We had a great lesson last week. It was interesting. I went back and we created a YouTube channel. So for those of you who don't know, we have salon owners and leaders on YouTube, and we downloaded all the videos for the first 4 weeks. And the biggest thing that I've learned through this is putting myself out here in this capacity. And, I talk about, I manage a group of 64 people, and, I like to be in the background. So putting myself out here has been really leading through example and putting myself out there and joining these great cohorts of amazing men and women in our industry leading the way. And we're all doing our own separate individual things to contribute. Over the last couple of weeks, we've had Tina, Christine, Kaylee on these websites, and doing Zoom calls, and sharing and giving to our industry, and it's been really powerful to watch. So I've got really uncomfortable as I'm trying to do real leadership here, when I don't have a team. So I've adopted this team, and here we go. And I just wanted to talk about showing up with hope. That was and I saw actually Nick himself posted something last night about hope, and he did a HOP. It was a whole lesson on that, and I haven't even talked to him about this. And I think hope has been the biggest thing for me to take away from real leadership. So you've got to, show up, as I said last week. We talked about showing up on time, showing up with clarity, but hope is the biggest thing, because there's so much information out there. And if your team are listening to what the CNN is saying, constantly negative news, and if they're listening to their friends, because it's like the Chinese whisper, it's been amazing these last couple of weeks. What you found, and I keep saying, is go back to your source. Where did this information come from? So we as leaders have to kind of wade through all this and kind of really be that beacon of hope for your team, for your family, for your team, of course, as we're leading the way. And the conversation has flipped. I think last week I talked about, when we began 4 weeks ago, it was totally different. Now this week, all I'm seeing information is, Atlanta has opened up. We have our great friend, Jeff South and Bonnie down in Atlanta and Intrigue, and they posted this beautiful list of what they've been doing. And they've been actually posting videos of, going into a bit more detail. And then we had a friend of ours from Albuquerque, New Mexico, that posted, he's devastated because his loans aren't coming through. So, it is a roller coaster as the emotions are going. So, being a real leader and showing up in the face of that is really important. And, so the conversation has changed from what protective gear are we going to open with? How are we going to sanitize? So we're getting focused again. And I think I'm showing your team that you're organizing this. And I think Christine mentioned at the top of this call that she had a meeting with her leaders this morning on Zoom. And I had talked about how we're going to, do one-on-ones with every team member before we open. Christine's already taken it a step further, and she's doing a rehiring process. So, like going back to the beginning, it's a great time to ask those questions and really maybe get into that foundation of why you want to reopen your business yourself. Get really, really clear about that. So showing up with hope is good. And then I had a little exercise I'd asked everybody to do. Ask 5 friends, which maybe we didn't, but what's the one thing I'm good at? And it was interesting because as the panel beforehand, we kind of went around the room, the virtual room, which is really wonderful, and asked these questions. And this is actually, our 5th or 6th week together, guys. And I just couldn't be so proud of how we've come together. And, go back to Christine, how you really, you said this 2 years ago to me that you wanted to put this team together, and how we've all come together. And there's a symbiotic feeling, it's a group of 6 people. You can either gel, or you can kind of start to go into some sort of symbiotic flow. And I feel that's happening. And it's happening because we all have really strong values. And, I think each of us has really, really developed over these last few weeks together as a team. And I'm super excited about where we're going to take this. So I want to ask maybe Sean, so what's the one thing that you're good, what have you learned about yourself, and one thing that you're good at when you asked your friend?
Well, we actually, when we went around the room, I think what Rosemary said about me was that I'm consistent, and that whatever it is, I don't waver, even if necessarily I don't have the answer. We will find it, and we will always be this same. Like we're very consistent day by day, and I'm just very thankful for all of you, because I think all of us bring something different and unique to this group. And with that, it gives us a lot to offer everybody that's with us today.
And how many of us need a Sean in our lives?
Yes, please. I want
Angie can't
Sean
have him. No one can have him.
yeah.
I've already adopted him, so hands off, hands off.
Hands off, hands off.
I think, his contract is that he can't work anywhere within the United States of America. No, I think it's really shows to the power of team. And, as we go into our this next phase of where we're going to go, we're talking about this mastermind group that we're starting this Monday. It's going to be very exciting, guys. And it's calling the Developing the Leader Within You. And I think, that's what, that's that next level. So although you're leading, it's like, how can you go deeper in your leadership? How can you know yourself a bit more? And how can you bring others with you through that process? So, this is what I thought was really good for me this morning to kind of talk about that. So Kaylee, when we went around the room this morning, our virtual room, what was the one thing that you were good at? What did you find out about yourself?
Well, before I tell you that, I just need to give a shout out because a dear friend has jumped on, Jeanette Standerwick. And I just want you to know, Jeanette, I think about you like almost every day. And Jeanette she's actually a friend of my mom's, but also just so dear to me, and her kids are my friends. And she was such an influence in my life as a part of the church community and church family, and always a role model to me. So I'm happy to see you on here, Jeanette. And Nuala, to answer your question, one of the strengths that you guys told me I have is that I'm good with numbers, which is so funny because I'm not. But what I'm good at within that is communicating the story that the numbers tell you. And I guess that came from the call I did the other day with the mastermind group, just sharing with everyone how important it is right now to be having a cash flow plan and looking ahead at what's coming up for you, and not being scared of it and not hiding away from it, because the cool thing about it is that you can make change. And when you ignore it and you put your head in the sand and you avoid it, then it just is what it is and it catches up to you. But when you look at it, you get to make choices and make changes that will give you a much better outcome. And so, I guess what I took from that is like my strength is my passion about communicating that message to our industry, is that you don't have to be good at math. You don't have to be good at numbers. You just need to learn the story that they're telling you so that you can make informed decisions about changing the trajectory of your business. And it's just more important now than ever before. So thank you for that, that message today.
And if anybody has anything that they had found out off somebody, if you can just type it in, it'd be great. We can talk about it a little bit. I think it would be nice. I know my friend Carmel's on the line, and one thing that I love about her is her loyalty. She was my first friend in New York City. Sorry, Christine, I had a first friend before you. I went for a roommate, you know what I mean? Come to New York in 1991. I went to roommate with somebody, two people, and they had a third bedroom. I took the smallest. I had a wall-to-wall bedroom, so my bed fit right in to this small, tiny room. You know what I mean? It was wall-to-wall. There was no room even for my suitcase. And she was actually one of the roommates, and it turned out that she was a hairdresser and she was also from Ireland. So we've been friends for a long time. So I want to shout her out for loyalty. She's been with me, came to my salon, and when I had a salon in New Jersey, and then came to work with Nick and I at Nick Arrojo in Soho. And she now leads our education for our cutting program there. So I want to shout out her, and I really appreciate her support in coming on here. I want to ask one more person. I want to ask Rosemary, it just turned the question around a little bit, and when we gave you feedback this morning, how did it make you feel? So what was that feeling for you? Because I think the reason why I'm prefacing it this way is because we've been through so many emotions these last few weeks. And I think what this exercise did for me was how it made me feel. And, you know, it brought us laughter this morning and tears and that. But I just wanted to ask you, Rosemary, how did you feel when, I forget who it was that gave you feedback this morning. I think it was Sean.
It was Sean,
Yeah.
Tina, and Christine. So
Yeah.
thank you for that question and for changing it around, which just made me emotional as you were asking it. I was like, oh no, where are my tissues? So, you know, all through my life, I've always found that I had to find a space for my place. And when Tina, Sean, and Christine shared what they did, I'm trying not to get emotional because I'm going to be completely unsuccessful on this call. It brought this question of really, and then the other part felt this sense of, wow, because, you know, it's really hard to ever see yourself anything other than what you believe that you are. And when you always feel like you're battling to have a voice, and then you have other people tell you otherwise, it just says, oh, I can keep going on. I don't have to just keep holding back. So.
Awesome. Oh, thanks for being so open.
Thanks for crying. Those issues.
I think when we began this quest, we had obviously got all together, and one of the things that Rosemary brought to the table was that it broke her heart, like severely, when she found out that she was not necessary, that she, you know, she wasn't somebody who was necessary to, you know, move this country forward in the next few weeks. And I think there's a huge lesson there for this industry, and, you know, being told that we're not necessary, and we're a huge part of our community, we're a huge part of people's lives. And you know, we see our clients more than sometimes they ever see their family, and they'll tell us something. I always say, priests, bartenders, and hairdressers, we hear everything, and we have that universal law of speak no, see no, hear no. You know what I mean? There's no judgment. You know, we're there to listen to people, and you know, the value we add, I think, to humanity behind our chair. Or, you know, if you're a spa attendant in you know, facials, massage therapists, you know, hairdressers, like, we add so much value. So I think there's a huge lesson in that for you, Rosemary, because of how you felt. You were very passionate about how it made you feel, you know. So yeah. I really appreciate your time, guys. This is a huge learning for me, the real leadership and how people are showing up. And you know, the person that I'm learning from the most is John Maxwell, and you know, every Monday he's doing a universal lesson, and you know, and he's evolving and changing, and just to see him put himself out there, it's been great. So you know, I encourage you to continue on this journey with us, and if you're interested, we'll post more information, and we have maybe a couple of great free classes that we're going to actually contribute to this panel in the next few weeks. I know Kaylee and Christine had talked about doing, talking about numbers. Kaylee gave this great lesson the other night on another network, and we can put that together for you guys. We've got a lot of things to offer you, and we really want to contribute, but I'd love to, you know, go more personal and deep with some of you on really leading, you know, the next phase of it in our series, our mastermind series this Monday. So Rosemary, I'm going to head it over to you. Thanks so much.
Thank you. And again, thank you for that question, Nuala. Yes, when in regards to the first 2 weeks when we found out that, you know, we're considered non-essential, it was really, really difficult. I had brought that to the panel, and reason being was because, you know, we do touch a heart before we lend a hand. And we work so hard at what we do because not only are we passionate creatively, but we are also passionate with our full heart, you know, and when you heard that you were non-essential, I felt very devalued. I felt like as if it wasn't important what we do, even though on the other side of the spectrum, you see people saying, we miss you, we miss you, we miss you. So there was this kind of teeter-totter of emotions. And it took me a while, but thank goodness for the fact that I have this incredible team. What I learned from this lesson is that real leaders show up. And I could have even made two choices. I could have sat in the negativity vortex for the first 2 weeks as I was, or jump out and do things that I may have not done before, or I'm willing to explore. And having this community of people with me has given me the opportunity to expand within myself. And it also has allowed me to be okay to communicate, because in communication, it's so important that you stay connected to a tribe, whether it's 1, 2, 3, 8, 10, whatever it is, a tribe of people who can sing the same language as you, and that they can work with you through it, because everyone has a strength. And that was a big thing, you know, working together and communication is so important. And don't let the activity of what is being surrounded dictate your journey. And if it wasn't for this group, I'm not sure if I'd be in the best place. So I'm grateful for each and every one of you. And my question to Christine and anybody else on the panel is, we all know that there are crises throughout history. I mean, from the beginning of time until where we are consistently today. So how has this crisis changed you to prepare for another crisis? Because it could be a crisis in any sort. It doesn't have to be a pandemic like it is, but if you would just share that.
So I would say this crisis has allowed me to take a deep breath and spend some time by myself to get rooted in why I opened a business to begin with. And I've had crisis for the last 2 years or more in my life. I'm a single mom, 15 years, and running a company and getting a divorce and losing a home, and you name it, I feel like it's happened. And so I think that in this crisis, I feel like I've lost my confidence as an owner of a business at times. And even though, and this is what I want to really express to those that are listening, even though I surround myself with amazing people, and even though I read every day, there are still times where I feel like my roots are getting pulled. And I want to just really, for people that are attending, to understand that the more we dig in the ground and the more we spend that silent time with ourselves and who we are, and for whatever spiritual background you believe and whatever your faith is, to spend time in that faith, because at times like these is when I feel like we need that faith. And I'm so thankful for this group, but I'm also so thankful that I joined the John Maxwell team, and that Tina persuaded me to come into this group like in 2014 when she was involved. And it was, you know, somebody like Tina that opens their heart and tells you it's okay to come in. like, this has changed my life. To me, like, that's such an abundant heart, and that's somebody that wants to give and contribute to others. And it allowed me to understand that this is a safe place. And so with this time of crisis, I realized, like, I lost my footings and I lost my confidence as an owner. And if there's anything that I needed, was the time to sit back and reflect and say, why did I start this company 20 years ago? What does this mean? And where do I want to go with my next 20? Like, where do I want to go? Because right now, I think it's really imperative to get your team to re-engage and know what is in store for our future. And we're not going back to business as usual. So are they ready for that? And so for me, it's actually been a peaceful time. You know, I feel guilty sometimes saying that because I know the first responders, my heart, and I have so much gratitude for what they're doing. But for me, it's been such a great time to reflect. And so, you know, that's
perfect. What about any of you guys up there? Kaylee, Sean, Tina, Nuala?
Yeah, I'll speak to that. I heard a interesting quote because it's, you know, you see a lot on social media. We're all in this together. We're all in the same boat. And I heard a quote, someone say, we're not in the same boat. We're in the same waters. We're in the same seas. So we're all in the rough seas, but we're all in a different boat. And I think me, like speaking as a coach who sold my salon last year, you know, I'm feeling that for my team, but I feel like I'm in this really stable rescue boat and I have the opportunity to go in and help the sinking boats. And so it's been an opportunity for me to step into my leadership and to encourage others to step into their leadership, and especially my owners, right? Especially the salon owners that I'm working with one-on-one. I'm like, your team needs you right now. There's not enough of us stepping up to lead, to be the light, the beacon of hope, like you said earlier, Nuala. And that, you know, we don't have to, one thing John Maxwell always said is, if someone's in the pit, like put your hand down and pull them up, don't get in the pit with them. And so I think we have to be careful of that too, because this has just impacted us all in such different ways. And some of us, it's our opportunity to reach down and pull somebody up and not climb in the pit with them. And I think watching the news and the media, it's easy to climb in the pit with everybody, right? But when you really look at the things that you're thankful for in your life, all the blessings that you have, I just feel so strongly that now's your time to step into your leadership. And one person can effectively lead 7 to 10 people. So there's room for you. There's room for you to lead. So, you know, take what we're doing here and go and do this with a group that you know, and get your own following, because, you know, we can speak to thousands of people, but our inner circle has, you know, for me to help one-on-one, I have a limitation of how many people I can help. So we need you to also step into your leadership, lead your team, lead your clients, and start these kind of groups that will, like Rosemary, you were saying, you know, this group really helped you during this tough time. So for all of our listeners, if you feel like you have the capacity, now's your time to form your group and people around you so that you can share that beacon of light. Yeah. So that's, Rosemary, what it's done for me in this time is really provided this opportunity to step into this role.
I love that, Kaylee. I just want to add just one thing to that. Something, I'm going to interview a new author today because his book is just coming out, and he said something so profound on a podcast that I did with him. And so moving forward, and this is what I'm going to do because this crisis has taught me that yeah, write my plans in pencil, but give God the eraser. And so just allow him to reroute me, which has been happening. And I just am like an open book right now with him, with my journal being open without so many plans. Cause I am a planner. Trust me. I have all kinds of vision boards and dream boards, but giving him that eraser.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. And I think it's also really important. Thank you, ladies and gents, for your information, because it's so important about the communication process. And when you are a salon owner, I am not a salon owner. I am a person who works behind the chair, but I do a lot of education outside, and I get to meet a lot of salon owners. It's so important to stay on the same page and make everybody understand that you're walking alongside them. And I've experienced some people where they feel the need to tell them, this is what you have to do. This is what you've got to be, you know, we're doing this and we're doing that. But there has to be a sense of understanding the dynamics of what level everybody's at so that they can receive it in different ways. Because the person who is open to it is going to be the most receptive to it. The one that's a little bit more closed is going to be like, they are the ones who are going to be most against you. They're going to be the resistors. So it's when you're bringing this message to your team, especially now that we are going to be opening at some point in some time in some place and God knows when. Yes, it's going to be different. It's going to be stressful. It's going to be awkward, but change is awkward. You know, we have to remember, we all didn't come out of our mother's womb being able to walk. We fell down, we got up. We fell down, we got up. We fell down, we got up. And eventually we learned, and it became second nature. So this is going to be a new norm, but keep everybody consistent on the same page. And the people who are your strongest, utilize them to help you as a leader. Utilize them, because they can bring another element to the rest of your team for those that may not be as strong or weaker in other areas. So with that, I thank you all. You guys are a blessing in my life. I thank you all on the call, and I'm going to move it over to Tina and Sean. I believe we're going to cover the next topic.
Yeah, so we're gonna kind of recap what we talked about, which was character, and how we respond in this crisis really tells us where our character is at. We talked about the definition of character, which is the combination of our ethical and moral compass. It's our integrity and our judgment. And, you know, like John said, that we're not made in a crisis, we're revealed. And maybe some of us didn't really like what was revealed at the time because that mask wasn't able to stay on. But the good thing is that you can change. We have the ability to change and lean more towards what we want to be. So as the world has literally paused for us to, you know, take in information, take in podcasts, take in, you know, masterminds like what we're doing, this is the time for you to really grow your character and lean into who you want to be. We talked about, you know, the 3 character traits, and the first one was adaptable, you know, because adaptable leaders turn adversity into advantage. We talked about how important that is to look at this crisis, this situation that we're in, is we have the ability to come out on the other side of this better than where we were. We get to reset and restart when we get back into our salons and get back into the world. And how cool is that we're building it better. We're going to have new ways of doing things. We're going to have, you know, new technology. We're looking at, you know, virtual consultations. Things are going to change in our business, but it's going to be for the better for all of us. You know, we talked about another character trait was courage. And what courage does is it empowers us to do what's right in the face of fear and uncertainty. So dig into that courage. Find your ways to get that courage. Borrow belief and hope from us until you get that courage. And we talked about how important the last trait was, is self-management. We have to stay grounded, connected, and surrounded. And that's what we are doing here, what we've been doing for the 5 weeks that we've been together. We have a mastermind that's starting on Monday, Developing the Leader Within You 2.0. Please, please, please continue this journey with us. And you'll find out more about that as we continue today. But I want to ask you a question, Nuala. Why do you think crisis is such an effective test of a leader's internal makeup?
That's a great question, Sean. I think it's such a test of, you know, I think Christine talked about it a little bit earlier about roots, and we had talked about this in a strength that Tina has, is like she's so grounded in who she is and she's so clear in what she knows. And I think watching her lead through this, I know that you guys have your business open, you've got some schools, you know, you're showing up, you're giving this time, but you know she knows who she is. And I think that's what it is. It really, if you're not grounded in who you are and what your values are, I think it can really ruffle your feathers. You know, it can really rub you up the wrong way. I think your ego can really take over. And if you don't have all that in check, you know, ego, I heard, I think it was Wayne Dyer say, you know, ego is edging God out. You know what I mean? So whatever spiritual life you follow, whatever you are in, but that ego rub, I think, and can really show that other side, you know, of human nature. So that's my belief in that. It's like, if you're not really grounded in who you are, what your values are, it can really, you know, reveal that, you know, we know that other side of human nature. You know, it's not all, you know, roses and Chardonnay, you know what I mean? Like, there's another side to it that can, you know, really show ugly. And, you know, I think we've seen that in our lifetime. It's in the history books. And so that's what I believe it is. If you really aren't grounded in your values and, you know crystal clear what you want out of your life, that to me.
I love that. Nuala, Kaylee, did you have anything that you wanted to add in regards to, you know, why this crisis is really testing your internal makeup?
Oh, homeschooling's testing me. So I'll just speak to all the parents out there. Yeah, that is, you know, what's funny is I thought I wanted to be a homeschooler. And so I did this like partial homeschool program, and I just decided it wasn't for me. And I put them back in school for a week, and then I got them back. And so I was like, no, I already like said I wasn't good at this. So I'm getting my second opportunity to try to like figure this out. But that's been my biggest challenge. And actually, I think it was you, Tina, on one of the calls saying like the leaders, and maybe I can learn this from you, Sean, is like the consistency in our leadership. And it's easy for me to hop on here and be positive with all of you. It was easy for me to be positive with my team. My team used to always say, oh, we love it when you drop by because you're just so positive. And, or sometimes they'd be like, oh, I didn't want to talk to you because I knew you were going to spin it in a positive way. And so they're like hiding from me because they're like, I want to stay mad or I want to stay angry. And I have this, you know, art of looking always at the positive. And sometimes like homeschooling, I'm like, why am I learning about mammals and non-mammals? Like, I need to be helping salon owners. And like, why am I going back to school and I'm getting angry and then I'm getting short with my kids and like, I'm not being cool or positive. So yeah, one of the things I'm working on during this crisis is like how to channel that positivity into this homeschooling challenge. And I know all you parents listening can totally relate. And how do I be that consistent leader in my home? And that's what we're really talking about with the leadership study that we're doing, is the first person to lead is yourself. And so I'm being challenged to lead myself in my home because I've got it, you know, I can lead teams, that's cool. But like when I have to lead myself in my home and my kids are pushing my buttons, you know, that's where I fall short. So I need to practice that consistency in the home too. So thanks for the question. I'd love to ask Christine, because Christine, I know like you have just got the load of challenges, right? And you've shared those stories with everybody, like you got this allergy to mold that happened to be in the new house that you bought. So you had to leave and, you know, live, like pay rent and a mortgage. You got like allergic to your business, really, like you were allergic to your business. And so you were having to find a new way to lead your teams from a distance, step away from the chair. You know, like if there's challenges, they've been thrown at you and you have found the silver lining, you have remained positive. And so can you share with our listeners, like, where does that come from and how do you dig so deep to just keep coming back? Because I just see you coming back every time and you're like, yeah, this happened, and you're smiling.
Well, I would say that it's a practice. I've adapted a practice, and my practice is that I wake up, I'm on the 5 a.m. team, sometimes earlier, sometimes the middle of the night team. And I get out of bed and I read, I write, I journal, and I do a devotion. And so to me, I feel wavered. Like I feel like my roots leave the ground when I don't start my morning off like that. And even for one day, to be honest, is just one day, I can feel that when I wake up, the distractions are taking over and it's pulling me in all different directions. Or if the news is on and then I get a phone call from my mother and she says, oh, did you see what happened to that salon in Georgia? Oh my, and she goes on. Then I feel it start to gnaw at my mind. And so I feel like every morning it's like a routine at the gym. I'm building a muscle that is preparing my mindset to understand that you do not have to reach for fear. And so that's one of the things is my morning routine. And the other is to get a support system. Like one of the things that Newell and I do is on Saturday mornings at 7 a.m., we have a phone call that we help each other to think through something. So it's like a thinking partner call. And we do that every week. And one of the words that I said that we, said to each other, like, what's your word that you're struggling with? And mine was courage, because I shared with you earlier, like, I feel like my confidence got taken away because things got so hard. And when you're completely out of money, I was out of money before this crisis. So being out of money right now is nothing. I've been out of money because I was already broke before this happened. But my spirit isn't broke. That's the thing, is like, I can be physically and monetarily broke. And I see, what some great leaders have done with nothing. So, I always look and say, our business is a building, but our spirit is who we are. And our spirit is what's leading people. And so you can take away everything and I'm still going to come back strong, because it's my spirit and my passion for leading people. And it's not a business to me. It's a lifestyle and it's a mission. And it's something that I will do until, I hit the dirt. That's the truth. So it's ingrained in my DNA.
That's awesome. So inspiring. So you really like that morning ritual is really key.
Yeah. I think it's just like, I was way more, I need to get back to my physical self and my vitality, because I got very sick over the last couple of years with mold, and it's affected every part of me. So, but what I would say is I used to be very, very, my morning ritual with exercise was like, I would never waver with that. I was always an exercise person. And I've actually replaced that with my spiritual morning. So it's like that ritual and those things that I do. I get up early, I read, I write, I journal, and I meditate. And that's how I start my every morning. And, and then I'm able to plan my day. So that's probably how I would say it's stay.
And you know what, Christine, I know that's true, because I remember when I was in France on a different time zone, and the best time for me to connect with you was your 5 a.m. time with the time change. Yeah. And you held to, no, that's my time, and I can't, we got to find another time that works. And you really held to that. And so that's a great example too, right? Is sometimes we put time in for ourselves and then we bump it out for other people or other commitments. And so that's, part of your strength, right? Is that you're able to protect that time for yourself.
Yeah. And I would say to people, cause I've coached people and they say 5 a.m. I can't do it. And, it goes back to, if you elevate yourself, you're going to have, it's like, you cannot lead with an empty cup. So if we were to talk about our business, it's like, you cannot teach somebody how to cut hair or color hair if you don't for yourself know how to do it. So when you're teaching leadership, and you're teaching people how to lead and how to influence, if you don't have the tools to be able to do that, and those tools come from consistency, they come from pouring into yourself, they come from developing yourself, your mind, your soul, your heart, every being. So leadership isn't something that you could say. It has to be something that is within your soul that you're delivering, because otherwise it's really artificial. You know, it doesn't come from your heart. And it really, I think one of the biggest things that I see, or I've challenged with, and especially in the beginning stages, was I felt like I was being unauthentic when I was leading, because I didn't have all the answers, or I really wasn't sure. Like, I wasn't a confident leader because I was going to get this information from the John Maxwell team and I was learning it. And then I was like a puppy with this big paws trying to figure out how to do it. And sometimes you're out of your element because you feel like, oh, I feel so awkward. Like, it doesn't feel mine. It doesn't feel real. And I would say, stay the course. Because if there's one thing that I've learned with that is I worked for Vidal Sassoon. I became so good at haircutting. And the reason why is because it was repetition. It was doing it over and over and over. So with leadership and learning in my morning routine, it's like, I know that's the compound effect that's going to pay off. Just getting up once a week and doing it, that's a pat on the back, but that's not good enough. We have to live it. So.
And what's great about that is, I know that when we were talking about character, Tina gave us 21 qualities of a leader and 21 habits to becoming a great leader. So Tina, kind of talk about those.
Yeah, I think it just goes back to, as we start to prepare to get ready for our guests, right? And so it starts with us, because everything rises and falls on leadership. And as we look at ourselves, and I was just interviewing a salon consultant this morning for my B Series podcast. And the really cool thing is I had an epiphany that we spend so much time, thinking that we have to go to business school. My students, this is what they say to me. They're like, hey, I want to become a salon owner, so I'm going to go to business school. And I'm like, you know what? I could teach you those business numbers. Kaylee can teach you those business. We can, because we learned in the Hard Knocks. We'll teach it real simple, fun, colorful. We'll make it really creative for you. But listen, you should be spending your money on learning how to coach your team, because how good is your numbers if your team is walking out that back door? And the bottom line is this, is if you're not an eagle, eagles are not going to coming after you. And how do you become an eagle? By working on the roots of you, by working on your character traits. So at the John Maxwell team, we go and train in Guatemala. We go and train in Costa Rica. We've been to Paraguay, training leaders. You know what we train? Virtues, character traits. We spent all of our time on that doing roundtable. And I know it's coming to America. We're going to be doing Transformation Begins in Me, those courses as well. But that's what us as John Maxwell coaches do. And I'm telling you right now, invest more time in this than you do in cutting hair, and you will be successful in this industry, especially if you want to be an owner. There's two different hats. One is a hairstylist hat, and then there's a business owner hat. So let's help you build a business that isn't contingent upon you being in the business. I love it, because I was interviewing Lisa Carr today, and she said, it's so funny. I show up one day a week and I don't even know what to do because my team has already taken over. And so she's like, I feel like, I'm getting in the way. And they're like, can you move, please? She's like a piece of furniture. And like, hello, don't we all want to be into that position, right? And so that's what we can do as salon coaches, as leadership coaches. Yes, we're going to be doing this every Monday. Join us, because we have a link that you can join us, because you need to work on your leadership. Leadership is a process. It's not an event. It's not like I can go to the gym one time. I love it, Christine, because you're talking about your rule of 5. Do you have a rule of 5 every day to get to where you want to go? We talked about that. And so as you work on this, it's like like going to the gym one time. Oh, I'm in shape. Wow. You know, no, leadership's a process. It's going to take time. Trust me. I'm living proof of that. I'm still taking time. I'm still chipping away. As I gave you the 21 qualities of a leader that my team gave me, I am not a perfect 10 in those areas. So I know, you know, just a little bit at a time, one virtue at a time. And that's what we want to help you do. So allow us to be a part of your lives. I look forward to this. I love working with all of you guys as coaches too. I have the opportunity to introduce my business partner here in a few minutes. So I'm going to hop off Win Claybaugh. That he's the dean of all the Paul Mitchell schools. He's speaking to all of my students via Zoom distance training. So I'll be hopping up, but I love you guys so much. Take care.
Thanks, Tina, so much for that.
Thank you, Tina.
And how this is going to work over the next, few weeks as we go into our developing the leader within you. It's actually going to be a private Zoom call, so it's not going to be public like this. You know, we're all going to be on, so we can, talk to each other, see each other, and so if you want to explain a little bit more, Christine, about how this mastermind kind of rolls out, if you want to give us a visual on it. So it's not just us talking, it's not going to be us on a panel, it's going to be, you really diving into this. As I think there's 10 chapters in the book.
Yes. So
and Christine is going to put a link of how you can, get it on if you want to do it on, there's different ways of getting the book. So Christine will go through that with you. And she's just going to kind of explain how these next 5 weeks will roll out.
Can you hear me, Nuala?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, so yes, it will start Monday, this coming Monday. It'll be at 7 p.m. And we have in our Facebook group, if you go to the top of the page, there is an announcement and it's pinned at the top of the page that you can hit that link and then you could join. It's either you could join singly, you could join with a partner, or you could bring your team. So what'll happen is it will be a little bit more of an intimate group. We will show up on Zoom. We'll do a small teaching. So 2 of us in each panel, we'll do a small teaching. And then what we'll do is we'll invite you in. The way the mastermind's gonna work is you will then speak out in the group. Not everybody has to. So if you're an introvert and you're like, I feel awkward maybe speaking out in the group, you do not have to. But
so you can submit your questions beforehand, Christine? That's something that we can do. So if you're not, if you're like me and this is new to you and you're not comfortable, you can submit it. So we'll get something together for you that you can submit your questions beforehand, or you can type them in when you get on and we'll answer the questions. Questions that are emailed, I think, will be answered first, and we'll then do Q&A at the end. So you don't have to talk, so please don't worry about it, I promise.
But I will say that in all the mastermind groups that I've facilitated and have been a part of, the best part about being there, it's just like as if you were to go into a seminar. When you go to a seminar, you learn from everybody that's in the room. So, you're only as good as the 5 people that you surround yourself with, right? So you have a group of people that are going to be participating of all different leadership styles and leadership experience, and everyone that's going to be in the group has something to contribute. So when you hear somebody else's story or reflection about what they learned on developing the leader within you, then you will have the opportunity to either ask a question or share an observation of something that you've learned along the way. And by you sharing, then another person in the group then gets their aha moment of, wow, that's a great insight. I never thought about that. Maybe I'll approach my leadership like this. So some of the topics we'll be talking about are, for the first session, Kaylee and I are going to be going into leadership as influence and really diving deep into, what is influence? How do you become more influential? Also the different levels of leadership, so that you are aware of what each level looks like. So when you are leading the people in your on your team, you can have them understand what the different levels of leadership look like. So Kaylee, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I'll just like take a step back and just give the big picture. So we've been doing this 4-week mastermind out to all of you, and now's our time to go a bit deeper. And what we all have in common is we're all John Maxwell coaches. And if you don't know John Maxwell, he is a leadership guru and has, like, how many books has he written? Like crazy amounts of.
140,
Yeah.
Yeah,
And still writing.
and still writing. And this is what we all have in common, is that we've all been changed through these books. And I myself was lucky enough to be introduced to these books at a very young age. I was in my early 20s when I started reading these books, and I would never have been able to run my company to the level of success that it was without that groundwork. And so we've taken the Leadership 2.0, and the reason we chose that as our first book study, so think of it as like a book club where we're gonna, you know, you're gonna order the book, you're gonna read it along with us, but we're gonna do a lesson on it. And on top of that, we're gonna share with you our experience of how that lesson worked in our business and in our life. And the reason that we chose that book to start with is because the Leadership 2.0 is about leading yourself. And John Maxwell always says the first person you need to lead is you. And if you look around and you don't see any followers, then you're not a leader yet, right? So we need to work on leading ourselves first. And then there's so many other books we can dive into from there about leading your team and about, you know, growing your business and how to do all of that. And so that was why we chose this book, and why we want to take this journey with you, because we've all been greatly impacted by John Maxwell's teachings.
And thank you for that, Kaylee. And as we were saying earlier, it's like, you know, real leadership shows up in crisis. So if this has exposed something about yourself as well, it's nice to get back in, like me too. It's like, I want to go a little deeper in, you know, what strengths do I need? What roots do I really need to put down in that next decade of leadership that I'm foreseeing in the future, you know? Because I feel that with this crisis, what has happened is, you know, the future has come so quickly to us. And when we reopen our salons, it's like, how am I going to invest myself, my time to make myself stronger for that next decade in who I want to be as a leader? So sorry, Rosemary, I cut you off there.
No, that's fine. So just to add on to the developing the leader within you, will there be some worksheets, or how do they get the book and things like that, so that they can be part of everything? And
yeah, so on the link, there is a link there that they can order that you can order a virtual book. So that'll allow you to download a Kindle. If you would like, you can order the book now and have it by the time you can get a hard copy. But you can use a Kindle, is fine. And what we're going to do is we will upload the worksheets we're going to start a Facebook group with.
So this is going to be a private Facebook group just for this community that joins our developing the leader. Yeah.
Right. And
yeah.
So then what we will do is we will there'll be a file area, and we will make sure that all the worksheets are there, so you could print them out, or you could just follow along on your computer screen, either way. And so you'll have the questions there. So that will help you think through each chapter as we go through. One of the things that I want to add is, you know, we will be learning with you on this journey, because I don't know about you, but every time I reread something, based on the level of awareness of where I am at that time, it brings something new into my awareness. And so what's important to understand is, as you take this information and you're going to be able to bring it back to your team, just remember, this is a tool that you'll be able to use again and again, because every time I read this book and I take a deep dive, I learn something new. I don't know if you probably all feel that way as well, right?
Oh, absolutely. My listening is different. So my listening, my experience, you know, so it's like, if I read the book a year ago, I have a whole year of experience to spring, and then I hear it differently, and I'm like, oh my God, I didn't read that line the last 5 times I read the book. You know what I mean? It's like, what was that new? You know what I mean? So it's like, it's some things, it depends on where you're at, and you know, and then you have that whole level of experience. And I think bringing what we've all been through in this last month to something like this and going a little deeper can be so good, because as I said, you've got a totally new experience that you did not know you're going to have in January of 2020. As I keep saying, this was not on my vision board, baby. I did not have this crisis up there. You know what I mean? So, yeah, no, pardon?
There's God's pencil.
Oh yeah, hey,
Eraser.
yeah, absolutely. I love that line. But yeah, no, I think, yeah, I do. I totally agree with that. And I think within community, you learn and you grow. And that's what I'm excited. It's like, you know, let's build this community of trust. And, you know, and it's like, you know, the questions we can ask, you can, you know, just jump in and, you know, and we're all kind of focused on that same vision, you know, developing ourselves, which is my favorite subject.
And Christine, everything will be recorded and on the YouTube channel, so that, or how will we, so that they can revisit these if they
Yes.
miss it?
They will be able to revisit. What we could do as well is we will record the Zoom sessions, and they can get it in an email, or we could always email it to them. And we can then put the Zoom on they could do it on a private link through YouTube, so that they can, you know, visit it. I don't think it'll just go on our YouTube channel,
No.
because
No,
there may
it's
be
private.
more intimate private sessions, but we can email it to everyone so that this way they could re-listen to the Zoom. And does anybody on the call have any questions about either this session or, you know, the upcoming mastermind that we have coming up? Because if you do, just let us know, type your questions. We'd be happy to answer them. And, you know, just.
And you can also ask the questions in our Facebook group, you know, the Salon Owners and Leaders. You know, if you're listening to this on the recording, and if people are listening to this on the recording, just ask questions and we'll definitely answer them.
Yeah.
So I think we're at the top of the hour now. Let's have a look if we have anything. So, you know, Sean and Tina had to hop off. You know, they've their business is actively open and they're working. So, you know, I know they want to thank you. And do we need to purchase a workbook also, Jackie? So,
Yeah.
Christine, does Jackie need to purchase a workbook?
No, you won't need a workbook. What we're going to do is we're going to put the worksheet pages on the Facebook group. And so this way, you know, you'll have everything that you need, and you won't really need that. Just download the book and read the first couple chapters so that we can then get started, and you'll be up on, you know, the teachings that we do. And, you know, what I would do is, one of the things that has helped me through the years as I read is to put ACT, to use ACT, which is action, change, or teach. I've learned that through the John Maxwell team. And so whenever you're reading through the book, it's good to write, is this something that you have to change? Is it something that you need to act on? Or is it something that you could, you know, teach other people, or you should be teaching other people? Because there's going to be a lot of lessons that come up over the next 5 weeks. And it's a lot of information, and it's really going to trigger some teachings for you, for your own team.
And it's actually, Jackie, it's okay to be terrified and excited at the same time. I ride that roller coaster every day. So it's like, you're getting up in the roller coaster, and then you're going down, and it's like, hey, come with us, you know, come on this journey. And we're excited too. So, you know, and that's what I always say when, you know, when you're in the process of change, a couple of things happen. You either freeze, you know, or you go forward, you know, but, you know, we have each other's hand in this journey. And, you know, as this roller coaster of emotions happen, you know, we can be there for each other. So yeah, I love that excitement too.
And now is the time.
Awesome.
Now is the time. Anybody
you
wanna-
all so
Yeah,
much.
Thank you.
I'm so excited to start this journey with you on Monday. Like you said, Christine, we're going to learn too. And like when you teach, you learn. And every time you take back to these learnings, we learn and grow. And we're going to learn from all of you who join us. Everyone has a unique piece to bring to the table, and we need all of you, and we need leaders, and your team needs you to be a leader. So let's step up, take this challenge together, and we're going to have an awesome 5 weeks together. So thank you so much for joining us, and I hope to see you on
Thank
Monday.
you. We'll see you on Monday.
Thank
Take
you all.
care.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye.